Tonight, the entire tri-state is mourning Claremont County Detective Bill Brewer, who was killed in a weekend standoff in Pierce Township. Years before his service, Brewer had already made an impact in his community. Former coaches at Williamsburg High School remember Brewer as a talented athlete and an even better person. One coach says his son served alongside Brewer in the sheriff's department and looked up to him.
My son thinks the world of him, and he's going to be guarding his casket till midnight tonight.
Today, we learned Brewer was shot in the pelvis below his protective vest. He died at the hospital. Lieutenant Nick DeRose was also shot. He has been released from the hospital. The suspected shooter appeared in court today. More on what we learned there in just a few minutes. You may know it has been an incredibly tough few months for the tri-state law enforcement community. 5 officers, including Brewer, have died. 3 died while working. Starting at the far left, that is retired Officer Scott Jenkins. He died on December 18th after decades of service. Next to him is Cincinnati officer Arthur Schultz. He took his own life while on duty. And you may remember Colerain officer Dale Woods. A driver hit and killed him while he was working a traffic stop in early January. And about 1 week ago, Clear Creek Township officer Jared Lee was killed in a car crash while off duty. Today, Hamilton County Coroner Lakshmi Samarco said it has been hard on her office and the tri-state in general.
I think that the public doesn't fully appreciate what they're asking of their first responders. I think it's going to take this area a long time. This has been a really rough 5 weeks, January.
Today, we also learned more about this man. His name is Winn. Prosecutors say when he started shooting this weekend, he killed Detective Brewer and injured Lieutenant DeRose. 9 on your sides, Evan Millward breaks down what prosecutors said in court today.
The last 48 hours have been hell, so you can't fault Sheriff Robert Leahy's sentiment.
Quite frankly, some of the language I probably use is not really appropriate, but I just find that it's really just, it's a situation, and I'm not real happy. We're devastated, but we'll get through this.
Leahy had backup in court this morning. Rows of his deputies here to face the man accused of killing their colleague. And their faces say everything.
On the record, State of Ohio versus Winn.
So does Winn's when he appears for the first time before a judge. There are cuts on his face, dried blood, bruises. A far cry from the young man who broadcast parts of a 12-hour-long standoff live on Instagram through the weekend.
They have no idea where I'm at. I've now shot multiple times.
Prosecutors say he called in a break-in, then faked a suicide to get deputies inside his St. Andrews Drive apartment.
He was waiting in ambush for the officers and the special response team. He fired multiple rounds through the wall in his apartment, murdering Deputy Bill Brewer and attempting to murder Lieutenant Nick DeRose.
I think this is a very good example of what happens when mental illness gets out of control and is not treated, not recognized, I think, more than anything. He was very mentally ill.
Winn's attorney says he doesn't know if he was on drugs at the time. This is the first violent charge against Winn, though a look through court records today reveals a handful of run-ins with the law, mainly for traffic and minor drug offenses involving marijuana.
I don't want to say he doesn't understand what's going on. I don't think he appreciates the import of it.
Winn's brother and father sat amongst the crowd of blue today.
And we will do our best to see that justice is served in this case.
In Batavia, I'm Evan Millward, 9 on your side.
And there will be a public visitation for Detective Brewer this Thursday. It will be at the Mount Carmel Christian Church in Batavia from 4 to 8 o'clock. Brewer's funeral will be the next day at the same church at 11 o'clock in the morning. West Claremont schools will be closed all day Friday for the funeral. Procession details not yet known at this point.